Hey guys, this week on the show, we're going to talk about Maxine Waters versus Bill O'Reilly, HIV testing, T.I. and Bernice Burgos. I'm also going to tell you all about my South Carolina trip to see JoJo. This is the outline.
The outline. With Kevin Dwayne. The outline. With Kevin Dwayne. This is the outline with Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne. Kevin Dwayne. With Kevin Dwayne.
Happy Wednesday! It's the outline with Kevin Dwayne. Thank you so much for joining me for another show. Episode 38, if I'm not mistaken. Episode 38. Yeah. So I can't believe that. That's crazy. Like, if you look at all of my podcasts, I think the total time is like 40 some hours, which means if you go on a long ass road trip, you can listen to me the entire time. Like, that is crazy as hell to me that I have that much content that you can literally binge listen to the outline with Kevin Dwayne. I'm so excited. Like, the year is approaching quickly. I believe I started this, last July? So it's coming up. What should we do for the year? I got to figure that out. We got to do something for the year, right? Maybe a meet and greet or something in Atlanta. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. But it's another show. Thank you so much. Remember, you can listen to this show and subscribe, rate, and comment on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and my website, kevindwayne.com. Thank you guys so much for you who already have done so. And I have a lot of faithful listeners. It's so great to see people tag me when they're listening. And some people I'm surprised by. Like, there are people I never even thought that listen to the show who listen to it, who are keeping up with me every week. So it's good to know that I am a part of your Wednesdays and sometimes your Tuesday nights. And that means a lot to me. So thank you so much for everything. We are on this journey together. And I love it because it's my chance to just talk shit, be vulnerable, tell you what I'm going through. And it's fun. I like that I'm able to connect with all of you on this show. Hope your week is going well. It is Wednesday, so we're almost to the weekend again. But I feel like time is going by so fast, though, so it's kind of scary. I remember growing up, my mom would always say, all right, don't be rushing time. There's going to come a point where it's going to speed up on you. And I feel that way. I feel like time is kind of moving quickly. Like, the weeks don't even drag anymore. They go by so fast. And then the weekend is even faster. And then we're back on Monday. So I don't even trip on that. I just try to enjoy every day, try to get things done, try to set goals and achieve them. Because if you are working towards a goal and time is going by fast, that means you're going to get to the goal quicker. So you should be progressing every single day. Do something every day to progress every day, because with time moving, you'll be there in no time, right? So this week has been pretty decent. Actually, yesterday I went and got tested for HIV, and as a black gay man, or just as a gay man in general, everyone knows that it's kind of the necessary evil of being sexually active, and you gotta go get tested every 6 months is recommended. Some people go every year. Some people probably go more than that, or some people don't go at all. But the responsible thing to do is to get tested every 6 months. That way, should you be positive, you're able to, get down to undetectable, take your meds, and just take care of yourself, because you don't want the virus to then progress and turn into AIDS, and there's a lot of misconceptions about that. People don't know that HIV and AIDS are two separate entities. Yes, they're partnered together, but the whole thing about it is they're not the same. They're not one and the same. You can completely have HIV the rest of your life and not get AIDS. The whole point is not to get there. The problem was in the 80s with the outbreaks and the big crisis of that, no one knew about the virus. So a lot of people were dying of AIDS because they didn't know about HIV. But they don't always go hand in hand, and that's a misconception. So if you're one of those people who say, go get an AIDS test, you're wrong as fuck, and you sound stupid. Don't say that. It's an HIV test. They are not the same thing. Get yourself, think about it. So anyway, I went and got tested yesterday, and I know it's controversial to talk about like status and stuff like that for some people. I did come back negative, and that was important to me because I had my own anxieties. And I know people have this whole argument about, oh, you shouldn't share your negative result because you wouldn't share your positive result. And I get that. But we also have to understand that it's not coming from a place of shaming people who are positive. We all know that things happen, condoms break, and some people have raw sex, and it could be from needle use. It could be anything. People can be in monogamous relationships, or they thought they were, and they're having unprotected sex, and their partner gets it and gives it to them. We all know that there are certain factors that happen that cause people to be positive, and it's not a shaming thing. I, for one, know that having HIV is not a death sentence anymore. People literally have the same life expectancy if they take care of themselves. It's all about taking care of yourselves, getting healthy, and being on your meds. But on the flip side, as someone who is negative, I can't erase my own self-preservation. As someone who is negative, I still have to be responsible, and I still have to take care of my own health so that I don't seroconvert, which means negative to positive. So it's two sides to the coin. So when I say my results came back negative, it's not to shame anyone or to boast or brag. It's more or less just me living in my own truth of, getting tested and doing what I need to do. Now, this time I had hell of anxiety, and that's why I'm talking about this now, because I hadn't been tested in quite some time. Just going to be honest with you. I hadn't been tested since August of 2015, and that was after my last relationship. And the reason for this, though irresponsible, still very real, I got to my 6-month mark after that. That was August, so it was around February. And I said to myself, I'm tired of this shit. Like, I'm tired of having to go through this anxiety of getting tested every 6 months. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been getting tested since I was 18. Since I was 18 years old and sexually active, I've been going every 6 months and going through that same kind of feeling of like, knowing it's a 50-50 chance every time. And though I use condoms, and though I'm still being proactive in safe sex, anyone who's been tested for STDs, especially HIV, knows there's a certain anxiety that comes with it. And at any moment, the person could very well say, okay, you have a preliminary positive. We have to do another test to be sure that you are actually positive. You have to go through that whole thing. And it's a 50-50 chance. And so I just grew tired of the anxiety of it. And so February of 2016, I was just like, I don't want to. And I kept pushing it off. I just kept pushing it off. Granted, like I said, I was still having safe sex, still active. But what ended up happening was it ended up biting me in the ass because the anxiety only became greater. Because now I'm moving further and further away from my last testing date. So that brings us to this year. It's now yesterday. Yesterday was the 28th. So I got tested on the 28th of March. So we're talking, 20 months? That's close enough to 2 years since my last test. And I don't know if anyone could attest to this, but when you get sick, you become a hypochondriac, really. So when you get sick, you start feeling like, oh my God, is this it? Are these symptoms? What is this? And I've had 2 things that happened to me this year where I was like, okay, something's not right. In January, I got strep throat, and I was like, what the hell? Like, this is so random. And so when I went to the doctor, they're like, oh, yeah, you have an infection, do this, ride this out. I was freaking out. And then still didn't get tested, didn't want to do it. And then 2 weeks ago, that's what kind of threw me over the edge. I got the flu. And just being that sick, it freaks you out. It really does. You're just like, oh my God, I'm in pain. I'm not feeling well. And then just knowing I hadn't been tested, it just made everything that much worse in my mind. And one thing about me, I do allow my mind to run off sometimes. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So, just to note, I had a physical last year, but it was with a new doctor, and there was a language barrier between me and the doctor. He was Korean, and we had a hard time understanding each other. So I told him and his nurse to test me for everything, including HIV. And they were like, okay, yes, we'll do that. But when the results came back, they only gave me the other STDs like chlamydia and gonorrhea, syphilis. They were like, oh, you're negative for those. And then I was like, well, what about the HIV test? And they're like, oh, I don't see that in here. Let me check. But they never checked, and I never followed up. So I was like, whatever. But I did attempt to in my physical last year, but it just didn't happen. So in current time, I was really kind of railing over it. After getting the flu a few weeks ago, I was just like, oh my God, I got to do this. So I ended up talking to one of my best friends, and we just had a honest conversation. And he was just like, Kevin, it's likely that you're probably negative. Like, from what you're telling me, you haven't involved yourself in any risky behaviors outside of the norm. It's just that you've taken so much time that your mind is fucking with you. He's like, so you just need to go ahead, get it out the way, and understand that, if you are positive, which you're probably not, you'll be positive whether you go or not. So you need to just go anyway. You got to do it. So just go ahead and do it. And so, and these are things that I already knew. I know all of this because I've been doing this for 13 years now. So I get it, but I think I let my mind get the best of me, and it just got too far. So I finally got the courage to just go ahead, get it over with. There's a spot not too far from me. Shout out to Positive Impact in Gwinnett. They're not too far from me. So I went there as soon as they opened at 10 a.m. I was there. Well, that's the time they start testing. They open at 8:30, but they start testing at 10. So I was there. I was like, I think I was the first person there that day. But they're pretty quiet. Every time I've been there, no one's really been in there. So they're pretty quiet because the area I'm in doesn't have too high a population. So I was able to go in. I was like, hey, I want to get a HIV test. Fill out my little anonymous paper where they give you the number. And then I think her name was Daphne. She was so sweet. My counselor, she was just super sweet. Shout out to Daphne. She came and got me. We went back to the room, and then I tested. We talked. I was comforted. We were good. My results came back negative. We were good. And then we also talked about PrEP. And I talked about PrEP on the show before. And PrEP is an amazing thing. PrEP, if you don't know about it, it's a medicine that reduces your exposure to HIV. So should your body come in contact with it, if you are taking your PrEP regularly, it blocks the virus from entering your bloodstream, in a nutshell. Now, I'm currently not on PrEP. And it's not because I don't believe in the medicine. I totally believe in the medicine. But my only drawback is it is a medicine. And my thought process is this. With anything that you take that doesn't belong in your body, there is a limit on it because it can damage your organs. Like Tylenol, like it says, don't take longer than 7 days. There are other medicines like for blood pressure that actually hurts your liver and your kidneys. And so my concern is this. Yes, while PrEP works in the interim, right now, they haven't tested it 15, 20 years out. So I'm concerned about 15, 20 years from now being on PrEP, taking this medicine every day. What is it going to do to my organs? Is there going to be this crazy outbreak of people whose livers and kidneys and lungs aren't working right or something because of the side effects of this medicine? And that's been my only drawback. Granted, in the grand scheme of things, you think to yourself, okay, well, wouldn't it still be better to be proactive with your health? But I always tell people, condoms and lube have worked phenomenally for me. Granted, I would love to have that peace of mind I would love to have that peace of mind added to still using condoms and, and having sex with people. But I am concerned about the long term of taking this medicine daily. You have to take it daily, and it works in half-life. So if you stop taking it, it becomes less and less effective until it's out of your system. So you have to take it every day. And this isn't a vitamin. And that's my only drawback. But I know after this last go round with anxiety and stuff, I am considering it a little bit more. I am going to at least consult with my doctor and go to the PrEP clinic in Midtown just to talk about it a little bit more. I was even telling the counselor yesterday, I was like, well, is there a way to do like testing on your organs as you're taking this just to kind of monitor that everything is good? And, should it not be, you can cease use of Gilead, you can stop using PrEP, She was like, I don't know. She was like, you should definitely consult your physician about that. And I will. I am considering it. She gave me more info on it. But yeah, I'm not against PrEP at all on that front. I think it's great. And my friends who are on it speak highly of it. I don't think y'all should be out here having raw sex because you're on PrEP, but at the same time, at least you are taking some kind of precautions to protect yourself from the HIV virus. But understand there are other STDs you can get. So that's that. But I am considering it now. I had a great clinic visit yesterday. Shout out to Daphne. Shout out to Positive Impact, Aid Atlanta. I got tons of condoms for free. And, I forgot about that life. I forgot about it because in LA, there are a lot more clinics, a lot more trucks and stuff you can go to. So I was so used to getting condoms that I forgot what it was like to even buy them. And it wasn't until I moved here after my last relationship, I think somebody was coming over and we're going to have sex. And I was like, I don't have any condoms. I was like, fuck, I don't have any condoms. And so I had to go and buy condoms. And it was just so odd because I hadn't done that in so long. I'm like, this is so awkward. So I bought condoms and now I got hip to Amazon Prime and I just started ordering, the larger amounts from Amazon. So we were good on that. But when I went yesterday, she was like, oh, we have tons of condoms. You can just come in and we'll give you a bag full of them. You don't have to get tested. Just come and say, I want condoms. Like most clinics, they'll give them to you. But they had the good shit. They had the Trojans and the Magnums and shit. So I was like, okay, cool. So they had this big ass bin. And she gave me this white paper bag, those lunch bags, but the white ones that you get from like the burger stands. When I tell you, I filled that motherfucker up with Trojans and I was like, listen, let me get everything that I need. And so I was excited about that. I'm like, yes, quality condoms. So got some more condoms. So my visit was good. It definitely set my day off to a good start. I got to remove the anxiety and just the burden I was carrying of just taking so long to get tested. So I'm going to get back on my schedule of going every 6 months. I'm not going to do that to myself again because it's just not worth it. I'm going to continue practicing safe sex and getting tested every 6 months on the dot. I recommend you guys do the same because we have to take care of ourselves. And should the result come back positive, you can work on your treatment and making sure you still, have a normal life. Like, people don't understand the life expectancy of an HIV positive person who's undetectable or who at least works towards, being undetectable is normal. It doesn't change. And the whole point is to stay safe, stay healthy, protect your partners too, so that it doesn't progress into AIDS. Because that's when your immune system can no longer fight. But there is a difference between HIV and AIDS. So please do not say, I'm going to get an AIDS test, because it's not an AIDS test. Educate yourselves. Too many people are walking around saying things out of ignorance when Google is free. There's no paywall or anything. Just educate yourself. Stop speaking on things without having a proper understanding on it. So that's my whole spill on that. I just wanted to kind of reveal that to you because it's been on my mind, things like that. But what's going on in media and stuff right now? I know things have been kind of light, or I've just been disconnected because of all that's been going on in my world. But I did catch this whole thing between Maxine Waters and Bill O'Reilly. When I tell you, Maxine Waters is just, she will go down in history as that woman. Like, she is Black woman of the decade to me. No, of the century. Like, she takes no prisoners. She says what she feels. She's not here for the Trump administration, and she's ready to impeach. She keeps it real. And being from California, I'm very familiar with Maxine Waters. And it's so weird seeing her older in age, because she was she was always in LA. That's her terrain. And so since I was a child, she has been in office. So seeing her get older is so crazy, because I'm used to seeing younger Maxine Waters, but I didn't realize that she was getting people together the way she is. But that comes with older age too. When you get to a certain age, you say what the hell you want to say, and you don't care about repercussions and feelings. And that's where she is right now. And she's not here for any of these people. So just a bird's eye view of everything that happened. It's just a nutshell. Apparently Bill O'Reilly, who's just an old racist man, Bill O'Reilly does not like Black people. Like, let's make it clear. He especially hates entertainers, athletes, and rappers. He always comes for Black people with the most ignorant things to say. So that's just that. So he was shown a clip of Maxine Waters talking about the Trump administration and just being on her journey of like justice and feminism and, not being here for the fuck shit. And he said something along the lines of, oh, I didn't even hear a word she said because I was too busy paying attention to her James Brown wig. So this is problematic because it tries to take down the fact of it tries to detract from her message. It's misogynistic, it's sexist, and it's chauvinistic. Like, he's trash. But the best part of it was when she was asked about it, she was impressed. She was like, listen, I am a strong Black woman and I am not intimidated by these right-wing fools. Like, she's not here for the fuck shit. She told the people, like, I'm not worried about him. Like, he's like, this man has been sued. He's been sued so many times. He's had so many lawsuits from women for harassment, for racism. He has no credibility. I am not pressed. I love her. I love Maxine. You go, Maxine. Like, can we get her in office? She needs to be president because she's not here for it. She's not here for it. So shout out to Maxine Waters and inspiring all the other Black women out there, because Black women really have it bad sometimes. Like you have so many people against you. White men, Black men, the justice system, the workplace. Like, there's like, people don't understand what Black women literally go through day to day, like, with just the oppression. So women like Maxine Waters are amazing because they're not here for it, and they will get you together. So shout out to Maxine Waters. Something else I wanted to, unrelated to Maxine Waters, something completely different, I wanted to comment on. So I've lightly seen things about T.I. and Tiny. They're getting a divorce and they're separating. And so T.I. is currently with, I guess she's a video model, video girl, whatever. Bernice Burgos. Beautiful. She's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. No doubt about it. Great body by all standards. Very beautiful. But I know nothing about her. I saw somebody on Facebook say something along the lines of, oh shit, T.I. did the best upgrade of the year, followed by, the 100% sign, trophies and stuff like that. And it bothered me because it's kind of fucked up. And this is why it's fucked up. As I said before, Bernice is a beautiful girl. And Tiny is not necessarily traditionally beautiful, especially as she gets older. But I just don't like the idea that we think this is an upgrade for T.I. based on looks alone. Let's talk about Tiny for a second. Tiny, he has been with for nearly 20 years probably total. She's had several of his kids. She held him down before his career popped off. She's been there while he was in and out of prison. She served time for him. Hell, she was trying to fuck him while visiting him at the damn prison. Like, she is the epitome of ride or die. She stayed with him while he was cheating on her several fucking times. So it's hard for me to kind of smile or laugh at somebody for saying that he upgraded, when in reality, I don't know anything about Bernice. I don't know what she's about. I don't know if she has integrity. I don't know if she has character. She's just beautiful, and that's what she gets. But I'm not going to say he's upgrading, because the truth of the matter is, you're leaving the person who had your back through all of your downtime. So it still kind of makes you a fuck nigga. So I don't know. I get frustrated with people who are shallow in that sense, where it's like, oh yeah, upgrade because she's beautiful. Cool, she's beautiful, but what is she about? Will she do half? Will she do a quarter? Will she do 10% of what Tiny did for him? Because that's why he was with her for so long. So to be like, oh yeah, he did the best upgrade, I'm not with that. That's some bullshit to me. That's trash to me. But cheers to all of them. I mean, they're all moving on, I believe. It's nothing against Bernice. I don't know her. She's beautiful, but I'm not here for the upgrade thing. But Tiny is now back with Escape. Escape is coming out with some more entertainment. I don't know if they're putting out an album, but I know they're thinking about going on tour. So that's cool. I'm excited for the reunion, just for nostalgic sake. Best to all of them. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on. So I want to tell you guys about my South Carolina trip. So a couple months ago, I think it was like December, January, my friend Brandon hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to go with me to South Carolina to see JoJo in concert? Because, you know, JoJo came with the album Mad Love last year, which is actually a really good album. Check it out on iTunes if you haven't, or Spotify, or whatever you guys use. But he was like, do you want to go see her? I was like, sure. I do want to know why we're going to South Carolina when she's going to be in Atlanta a week later or 2 weeks later. He was like, I'd figure you'd ask that. He's like, honestly, it's because the meet and greet, either he said they're not doing it in Atlanta, or it was sold out, but they still had availability in South Carolina. And he really rides for JoJo. So he was like, I want to meet her. So I'm doing the meet and greet package. Your ticket is a regular ticket, but you know, it's just like an hour or so before. So if you want to roll, the ticket's yours for free and we can just get out of town really quick. I was like, sure, why the fuck not? Like, I'm down for a road trip. I love JoJo. So I was ready to go. I was like, cool. So he was like, we'll go at the end of March. So here we are at the end of March. So we decide to go. I told my friend Wabi, who's been on the show, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to South Carolina this weekend. And she was just like, wait a minute, are you going to see that guy that you saw last year? Blah, blah. I completely forgot. So last year, around the same time, there was this guy that I was I don't even know what to call it. Like we kind of had this on and off kind of date thing. It was never anything serious, but we always kind of liked each other. It started back in 2012. He lived in Atlanta, and that's when we met. And then we fell out over some shit that I did that was misunderstood. From the outside looking in, it did look like trash, but after explaining the whole situation and not talking for a few months, we saw eye to eye on it. And we tried to talk again, but by this time he had moved 2 hours out to Augusta. So then we tried to make it work there, make that happen. Didn't work again. So that was strike two. And then by this time he had moved like to another state. He lived like 2 different states. And then he ended up in South Carolina. Something happened where we ended up talking again last year around my birthday. And I always like really, really liked him. And in my mind, I thought he really, really liked me too. But I don't know. So I ended up driving out to Charleston last year. It's like 4.5 hours. And I considered doing a long-term situation, being the hopeless romantic that I am. I was like, I'd consider it. So we had a great weekend. But when I came back to Atlanta, I was faced with the idea that it just wasn't meant to be because it fell off again. And so that was 3 strikes for me. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this to myself anymore. Let's just, no, we're just not going to do this. So I just fell all the way back and just said, forget it. It was a moment, moving on. Because we gotta get to a place where you stop hurting yourself. So I let it go. So she reminded me, like, are you going out there? I know you're not, being her. She's like, I know you're not going out there making mistakes. I'm like, no, that's not where I'm going. I don't even know that it's in Charleston. I think it's just in South Carolina. And that's what made me ask Brandon where it was. And turns out it was in Charleston. I was like, oh shit, like, that's crazy. Because the last time I went was for that guy. So I was like, no, I'm going to this concert. That's where I'm going. It's not because of that. But then I started thinking about it once I confirmed that it was actually in Charleston. I was like, oh shit. And so part of me kind of went back and forth. I'm like, well, do I even say anything about being out there? Like, do I just like hit them up and like, hey, I'm going to be in your city? But I was just like, but why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, we're not going to link up. I'm literally going there and coming back the next day and I'm with my friends. So there's no point. So I was like, you know what? I'll rock with it. And there's nothing to say. Like, it is what it is. Bygones are bygones. So I was like, fuck it. So we go. So we leave Atlanta around 1:00. And it was like 12, around that time. It took us a while to kind of get on the road because we were hungry. So we would look for lunch first. And then once we finally got lunch, then we were able to hit the road. So the road trip was great. It's always fun when you're with the right people. We had great conversations about so many things. Music was on point. Got to talk about a lot of things. Let me tell you something. When we hit the state line of South Carolina, when I tell you the niggas were trying to fuck, like I just couldn't. It blew my mind like how much my damn Jax was blowing up as soon as I hit that state line. Like, hey, what's up? 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 Like, penis was plentiful in South Carolina. All of them had time while I was out there. And it cracked me up because I was like, obviously, I'm going to the show. We're probably going to have dinner. We might go out, go back to the hotel, and we're leaving tomorrow. I don't have time to entertain any of you. And my friend Brandon was like, well, hey, if you need me to drop you off somewhere, by all means, I'm down for the cause. I'm not going to block nobody from getting no ass. But I was like, no, I'm good. But from the time I was there to the time that I left, I counted. I received 34 messages. 34 different men were offering up ass and penis. I was like, wow, this is absolutely crazy. Because I don't know what it is, but like when I'm at home, that's not the case. When I am looking to hook up, when that does happen, it's not the case. Dry as hell. You may get 1 or 2 people that you're probably not attracted to. It's just like whatever. But anytime you go out of town, people recognize that you're new and you're not familiar. And they blow you up. And I was just like, this is so crazy to me. Like, I was literally on my phone because I was still chatting with people for the hell of it. Because I'm like, well, I still want to talk and be nice. You know, I had some dudes like, oh, you got to come back down here. And I'll pay for you. I'm like, sir, you don't fucking know me. How are you offering me hotel stay and gas and all this stuff? You don't even know me. You're looking at pictures of me. Granted, they are my pictures, but still, like, that's crazy. But I got so much play in South Carolina that I was like, wow, this is absolutely crazy. But whatever. So we got out there, and as soon as we got to the hotel, we chilled for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't long before we had to get dressed because it was about 4:30. And he had to be back at the music farm, which is the venue that JoJo was playing at. He had to be back there at 5:45 for the meet and greet. Now, the show didn't start till 8 o'clock, and the doors didn't open till 7. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I thought about Ubering from the hotel to the venue, but there was a surge, so it would have cost like $40. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I ended up riding with him. I was like, I'll ride with you. And it's right off the main street downtown. I believe it's downtown. I can't think of the name of the street. Is it Market? I can't think of the name of the street, but there's a main street where there's all these restaurants and places you can go. So I was like, I'll go get something to eat and then I'll come back to the show. So when we got there, there was this long line in the meet and greet section, but the general audience section that I was in, it was pretty short. But I kind of started going back and forth with myself. I'm like, well, if I go to eat, am I gonna come back to a long ass line? And I started thinking to myself, like, well, I do want to meet back up with him when he's done, so we can at least stand together in the concert and get a good place. So maybe I should just get in line and just eat later. And that's what I decided to do. So I'm in line, the line is short, I'm just kind of on my phone chilling. So I hear somebody behind me, like directly behind me. I'm like, okay. And I actually didn't recognize the voice, but I did hear that they were like, kind of like, oh, where do we stand? Like, okay, which line do I get in? Because there were two lines, one for meet and greet and will call, and one for people who are over 21 and general audience. So I just turn around out of hearing a voice. It was the guy. When I turned around, it was the guy that I came to see last year. He was directly behind me. And I'm like, only the universe will fuck with me like this. Like, directly behind me. So I jokingly say, what are you looking for? And he looks at me and he's like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And so he comes in, he hugs me. And then he then says, oh, I'm looking for the line for the meet and greet. I'm like, oh, yes, over there. My friend's over there. Go over there. He's like, okay, cool. And he was like, nice to see you. And then he went to his line. And I just started cracking up. I was like, that's so fucking funny. Like I come to a city. The only person I know in that damn city is right behind me and at the same show as me. And I mean, the odds aren't that bad considering JoJo does, Black audiences tend to like JoJo, so it does make sense that he would be at the same show. But I was just like, wow, that's so fucking funny. And then you're right behind me. Like, there's no, it was hilarious to me. So whatever. So I stood in line for almost an hour and some change. The girl behind me drove me insane. She was one of those girls who obviously never been to a show. She was complaining about standing in line. She was like complaining about, oh, they should have some seats out here for us. I'm like, girl, you paid $20 for a general audience ticket. There's not going to be any seats. Shut the hell up. You should have dressed more comfortable. And she's like, I hope they got some food inside. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't happen at concert venues either. They don't have any food inside. Like, she was just complaining, and then she was on her cell phone talking to her friend who was in the other line because she was under 21. And because they give you wristbands when you're over 21. So she's talking to her the whole time. And they're talking about every person that walks across the street. Like, oh, why she got that on? Oh, I know her ankle's hurting. Oh, she got fat. Oh, she's smoking now. Oh, and I was just like, oh my God. And in fact, the entire line was kind of looking back like, if this girl doesn't shut the fuck up, we're going to strangle her. And she was on her phone the whole time talking to a girl in the line next to us. So we got through that, went inside. The venue was nice. I met up with my friend and we were like right on the stage. So the concert itself, let's talk about that. JoJo has some die-hard ass fans. Die-hard fans. Like day ones, people like going crazy because she liked their tweets and t-shirts and they know all the songs. And I was like, that's so dope because, JoJo's been through a lot with her contracts and her deals and stuff. And she had to kind of, go through some hurdles just to get everything in order and release another album. So to know that she still has fans back from Get Out and when she was in these movies and stuff who go in for her was amazing. The crowd was so turned up. If you go to my Instagram, you can see before she was on the stage, the crowd was singing songs of hers loudly as if she was on the stage. And there's a little window from her dressing room that she would look out of where she would try to sneak and film, because on her Snapchat you can see the audience going in, because she was talking about like, oh my God, they're doing full verses out there, and they were doing full verses of her song, and it was like they were so turned up. It was so lit. It felt like a rap concert. I was like, okay, this crowd is about to be on. So her opening act was one of her background singers, which was Keisha Renee. Now, this is not the best method for artists. I think it's the cheaper method when you take your background singer and have them open up for you. So, people are always skeptical where you're like, really? You have your background singer doing your opening? But she was amazing though. She came out and she sang. She could sing her ass off. She's done backgrounds for Nicki Minaj. Who else did she say? There was someone else she does backgrounds for too. She's done it for quite a few people, but she sang her face off. She did a couple of her own songs. She did some covers of like Nico and Vin's Am I Wrong? She did a cover of Jasmine Sullivan Famous. And Mama could sing, and the crowd showed her so much love. The crowd loved her. Like, they loved her so much. And even when she came back out to do backgrounds for JoJo, they showed her hella love like she was the main performer because she shined that night. So she was super dope. Her name is Keisha Renee. She's on Instagram. I think it's IM_Keisha Renee. But yeah, she can sing. And I think she has her own music coming out soon. So I'll be checking for her. Then there was a DJ who came out and, just spun some music just until JoJo was ready. So, JoJo, the headliner herself, the show was great. Like, JoJo is immensely talented. She's so talented. She can sing her ass off. She's so grown now. Like, she's so grown. Like, seeing her being sensual and talk about edibles and weed, you're like, oh my God, JoJo, you're grown. My only criticism of the show was the band was too loud. So it got to the point that it drowned out her vocals. So you couldn't hear those intricate runs and stuff. Like, you knew them because of the music and you knew where the parts were. But a lot of times, and I was right on the stage, so I'm looking at her do them, but you couldn't hear them as loudly as you should have. So that could have been the venue. It could have been, the engineering, who knows? But that was my only criticism. You couldn't hear her sing like when the band was playing. Now for the acoustic songs and the slow jams, you could hear her because they weren't playing. But like the drummer and the keyboard, like it was really, really loud. So that was my only criticism. But she could sing her ass off. She was dancing. I mean, the best she can. And the set list was great. She intertwined old with new very well. It had a great flow. My favorite thing that she did of that night, she mixed her song Like That, which was on The High Road, which came out in 2007, 2008 or earlier, The High Road. And then she mixed that with Like This, which is on her latest album, and they put them together. That shit was so dope. Like, it was so good. I love the way they were able to blend things. She did her covers like of Marvin's Room. She did stuff from her mixtapes. It was a really good show. Really good show. Her set was like an hour, a solid hour. She ended it with an encore of Good Thing, which I love that song. I run to that song. I love that song so damn much. So she ended with that. And it was an overall good show. And after the show, she went right into the main street that I was talking about earlier, and she was out walking around, taking pictures with people and enjoying the nightlife. And so it was awesome. So after the show, me and Brandon, we went to this restaurant called Basil. It's a Thai restaurant. And I had an amazing pad thai. And then he introduced me to what's it called? Mango and sweet rice, or it's something along the lines, but it's literally it's like a rice dish with a mango next to it. It was actually very good. We attempted to go to this club down the street, but the line was long, and I'm not about them covers, and we were like, you know what, let's just charge it to the game. So we went back to the hotel, went to bed, woke up the next day, went to brunch at this oyster spot. The food was, it was okay. It was at best. We could have went elsewhere for the price and the quality of the food, but we still tried it out, and whatever. Then after that, we went to Kaminsky's, which is this dessert bar that I went to last year that I had to try again because they have this Toll House pie that is amazing. So went there, and then we hit the road. We hit a little bit of traffic when we hit Augusta, but we got back to Atlanta around 6:30, and all was good. And it made me realize that I do love living in Atlanta. Coming back home, I was like, you know what? I'm satisfied here. Like, this is home right now. And this is a great city. This is a great place to be. I love the people that I know here. My social life is picking back up, and I love being here. It will be 5 years on June 4th, June 3rd or 4th, that I've lived in Atlanta. So I can confidently say that this is home. But that was my trip to South Carolina. South Carolina owes me nothing. I had a great time. It was a great getaway. It's nice to know that there's plenty of men there who would love to pipe me down. But I don't think I could ever live there. But I did enjoy myself. And yeah, it was a good refresher for the week. And that's that. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Please make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and tag me when you can. Leave your comments and your ratings, and I will talk to you all next week. Much love and enjoy yourselves. Peace out.